Good morning. How are you? Good. Happy New Year to you too.
Now people can hear us. People can hear us. Okay, now people cannot hear us.
He said he could hear us for a second. He said he could hear us, and he can't now.
Okay, good. All right, we're good. We're back on the record.
All right.
Everybody good? Good morning, Amy. Okay, so public comment, and when I ask for public comments, I'm gonna move very quickly right now to the resolution that we have for this morning, because I want to allow the public to be able to comment on those if there are any public comments. You got one online?
I have two.
Two, okay. So I will make this sort of continuous public comment. Is that all right? Good.
You're the chairman.
Thanks, Bill. We have the resolution for site mid-rise bond, and we talked about it. Steve, you want to present that real quick? Well, you don't have to be real quick, but.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Back on June 13th, we came before the board to discuss the Sykes project and moving forward with a conversion through the RAD program and Section 18 disposition process to convert the property from public housing to project-based Section 8, and as part of that, also apply to Virginia housing for low-income housing tax credits so that we can do a full renovation. So the board approved that on the 13th. We came back on August 15th for the creation of entities, tax credit entities, as part of the renovation process. On October 22nd, City Council approved those entities. We are now in the process of finalizing our design program, as well as putting the finance program fully together. And we are coming to the board today to ask for a resolution on bonds. We're looking for upwards of $17 million in bonds. Those bonds will be used during the construction period, and at the time when we complete the project and go to permanent financing, the bonds will be paid.
That it?
That's the short of it. So,
what we're gonna do, Steve, is we're not gonna vote right now. We're gonna have one more bond resolution. Invite any public comments to either one of these, and then we'll have the commissioner vote on it.
sounds fantastic.
One at a time.
We only have one bond related item today, yes, and then the other one is the.
That's right. No,
yeah.
that will be.
Yeah.
It's only one bond. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you stay, Lieutenant. I'm gonna now open for public comment.
On the bond.
On the bond, yes. We have two, I think, from online.
We had two in person, sir.
Whatever they want to comment on, it's open to that now. You need a cleaner system, man. That's working you to death. I was supposed to be in New York Times Square tomorrow morning.
No check.
For my birthday, I was home for a weekend. And the Lord said no. So he's sending snow, and he's sending very,
Cold weather.
cold weather. And, it has been a fun time in Times Square right now. I could still want to see a couple shows.
You come over to my house.
Huh?
You come over to my house.
I come over your house?
That's option two.
Well, I have a friend that was joining me. They have to come from Georgia, so,
That's too much for me.
yeah.
Well, I have it in my calendar. Today's your birthday.
It is.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
I get that. That's on the calendar.
Chairman Albert, we don't have anybody signed up for comments on the bonds. We have 2 individuals signed up to make comments, but not on the bonds.
Okay, can we, bring them in now? Because we had that one.
Can we
thing.
vote on the bonds
Yeah.
and then bring them in?
Okay. All right, we'll do it.
Can I just make, absolutely, Steve could make a presentation to the finance committee on this pattern. But I would say there were some important highlights on this. One, this improvement, or this bond issuance is going to allow for marked improvement in the physical plant associated with sites. And it is going to also turn this into what has historically been an underperforming financial element of our portfolio into something that will add to the bottom line. And in aggregate, what was presented to us at the finance level of the finance committee, it would be our recommendation to the board that we approve this.
Fantastic. Okay, so you've heard, both the bond resolution, read at least summarily, and the finance chair, telling us that they would recommend approval. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Properly moved in second. Ms. Carnes?
Yes, sir. Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
Dr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Casagrande?
Aye.
Mr. Fraley?
Aye.
Mr. Conyers?
Carry on, you hear me? Hear us.
He's in here only mode. I'll ask him how
Can
he
you
votes.
unmute Mr. Conyers?
I don't see him.
Okay. Ms. Mayo?
Yeah.
Ms. Chudzinski? Aye. Mr. Albert?
Aye. Now we're back to the public comments, and I think we have 2 online. Is that right?
In person.
We have
In
four
person.
meetings.
Oh, right, I like that.
Keep that.
Who's the first,
He can hear me. He said that.
Who's the first person? What's the public comment?
The first person is Kyle Wilson, and he would like to address Franklin Arms upkeep. I'm sorry.
What upkeep, what is she addressing?
Franklin.
Franklin Arms, sir.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Happy New Year to all. My name is Kyle Wilson, I live in Franklin Arms.
Ms. Wilson, before you begin, let me just say, you're aware that we, have a 3-minute time limit on speaking, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll start your time as of, right now.
Okay, it's cold outside, and we have one major problem. The front door and the side door to our building, they do not open. It's been this way for 4 months. It's colder now. We need the extra heat. You can have those front doors open all day long, all night long, until manager leaves. Also, I left here, going back to visit family during the holiday on the 19th of December. I came back, and on the 3rd floor, west side of the building, the dryer is still unplugged. The filter has been removed, well, both filters have been removed twice, but now we have one dryer, the filter is still, so they pulled it out. Our manager has descended and started to let commercial vehicles park in front of the building across from the door. She lets commercial vehicles park in resident parking during the day. They park in the back, but they're not supposed to park where they park. And I love where I live. A lot has changed. Now the manager doesn't have to go through a third party to talk to who's managing or taking care of the finance of the building. But something has to be done about those doors. Something has to be done about the dryer.
Which, the building,
Franklin Arms,
ma'am,
Franklin Arms.
okay, but,
And that's about it.
okay.
I have a question, man. If I, just for clarity's sake, are you saying that the doors to the building are open all day long and letting cold air in?
Yeah, because they have been functioning for 4 months.
Okay, but I just wanted to make sure, but you mentioned something about when the manager leaves at night, they can close. I wasn't sure.
The front door, they don't close.
Okay,
They close the side door, they'll close it.
okay.
So they don't close the front door. It stays open.
And is it mechanically incapable of closing? Like, it actually just doesn't work, it's broken?
Doesn't support what? It's on fire now.
Okay,
And that's ridiculous.
understood. Thank you.
Oh, and one other thing, on the side door, the fencing has been gone for 3 months. That's made of plastic.
Well, I would say, we still got like 30 seconds, but, I would say that, I know Franklin Arms has been one of the, well-maintained, high-rises, mid-rises that in our portfolio.
Ever since we ran it, that's not so.
Ma'am,
Ever since we ran it, that's not so.
that's not so what I just said anymore.
Anymore.
Well, I know we have a focus on our mid-rise and high-rise right now. I know our executive director has a whole strategy and plan for improving and upgrading, so I'm sure he took notes of what you just said. Your time is up.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is that it for our, public?
One more.
One more?
We have a second, just to Rayford White, in reference to Green Village.
Oh, yeah, that's my friend. Yeah, Dr. White. How are you? He's a tough guy, he's a real guy.
Good morning. First of all, Happy New Year to all of you here, and everybody can hear me across the internet. It's 2025. In Grandy Village, I've got some questions, and it's only two. I think it maybe can be one. We're just informing residents it's challenging in Grandy, and I know it's probably challenging all over the neighborhoods in Norfolk. But I just got a question. I don't know who made the decision or who came up with the idea of putting client services and resident service together. We may want to revisit that. We may want to see if it's working or not. In Grandy, we need now. We don't need somebody to call us 2 weeks later. We have a lot of issues when it comes to mental health, people who they can trust, who they cannot trust. And client services and resident service has helped Grandy Village to be, you all know, the best neighborhood in the state of Virginia. That's on record, and we'll stay on record. But we need help. When things are going on in the neighborhood, there are things that residents want to say somebody they can trust that's in the office every day. They go to it and we get stuff solved. We can't go to, okay, I'm gonna call this person, the rent office call that person. We've been having this program in session since I've been living out there, and it's helped the residents. Our seniors are suffering, our residents are suffering, the children are suffering. The programs, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and we have not seen anything yet. The commitment to our residents has failed the residents, and the communication has been on 0, -0, -0. I would like to see, as a resident, first of all, to see the resident service to come back. That's a safe haven for the residents. When they can't get the manager, when they can't get this person, they go to that person, and that resident has a resource, like a social worker. They have to find them jobs, have to do this and that. And to have what we're having now is not working in Grandy, because we don't know who to go to. And I'm just a resident, and I am the TMC president, and I will be until it's time for me to go, but our residents need it, and I'm the forefront and the person who speaks for them. And it's something the board and Mr. Nathan had to go back to visit, if you all know this. Why was that put together? And the reason why, because it needs to be separate. 2 different staff, resident services and client services, because we're suffering in Grandy Village. When we had that, we wasn't, because we had people we could talk to. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you very much.
You got it. Is that it for, public speaking?
Mr. Chair, we have several people online. Mr. Rogers is going to.
The only person on the line that can speak right now is
Repeat what you just said,
The only people that can speak right now is Sarah. Sarah, last name?
Sarah Hilton.
Okay. So
She
she
was-
Does she want to speak now?
So we don't have any other public.
We do not. Okay, no other public comment.
all right.
Okay.
All right, so,
In reference to something that was just,
yeah, go ahead.
Nathan, can I ask,
Yes,
since the first of the year, we've seen cold temperatures,
correct.
and inevitably, it winds up placing stresses on the infrastructure.
Correct.
Has there been anything that has come on the radar screen over the last 2 weeks that's out of the ordinary, or that has demonstrated any weaknesses in basically in the heating system of any of the places that we oversee?
Yeah, we've had some heating challenges, not fully, but I mean, a lot of our communities operate off a boiler system. And so they're, as everybody knows, it's not necessarily adequate. And so we work to try to isolate the issues that come up and address them as quickly as possible. We have one as late as last Friday. And so, you know, the decision was made fairly early. They were working on the situation to move because that's when the snow was approaching. So we made the decision pretty quickly to move the person to a hotel, dispatch personnel before the snow came, and then resume the next day. So we've been looking at alternatives. So a lot of the conversation now has been around baseboard heat as a suitable replacement, so that we can have that degree of consistency. So that'll be something we'll be working on for the foreseeable future.
And I just, not to take up any more, but just real quick, just wanted to mention, I was actually thinking about it myself, over the last couple of weeks. I mean, I've lived here for however long, it's never been this cold, this long, ever, and I can imagine that the system, even if they're working properly, would struggle to keep up. And I just wanted to know if there's been a lot of discussion about, I mean, I can keep my house.
Yeah. No,
I mean, it's just, it must be, even if they're keeping up, our residents at least able to stay comfortable.
Yeah, no, it's been an ongoing conversation. The city's preparedness in terms of the last two weather events has been pretty spot on. So we've had several calls throughout the last really 2 weeks. Even on last Saturday, we had a call in the morning. But I take that information, I blast that out to our team. So we've been talking in regular time ahead of storms. Obviously, the temperatures in the evening have been below freezing.
Right.
That has been pretty consistent for, I don't know, the last week and a half now. And so we are always talking about being mindful of making sure we sand, make sure we treat, making sure that if there are any issues that we're doing things we were going to do, even preventative maintenance, but that will require, in one of our communities, that would have required us to take the system down for 2 hours. We elected not to do that and just come up with a different approach so we didn't have to turn off disconnect the system.
I was more concerned, I mean, obviously weather events are concerning, it's just that consistent drop in temperature every night.
It's acting on the system.
Catch up,
Yeah.
and every day, and it's a big concern. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't having mass issues with it. Okay.
We're experiencing various issues. I'm not going to say mass, but if they are, if anybody becomes aware of an issue, certainly let us know, because like I said, we want to address the issue, but we want to get, as cold as it is, you want to get the person outside of that environment so that we can address it properly.
Nathan, you wanna,
Sure.
you're next on the agenda.
I am.
You can continue down,
I got it. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And Happy New Year. So I have the esteemed pleasure today, come on up whenever you're ready, to present a resolution of gratitude today for Suzanne Puryear. for services rendered as Commissioner of Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority. And so, whereas Suzanne served as a member of the Board of Commissioners of the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority from January 26, 2016 through July 30th, 2024, and as Vice Chair since December 14th of 2023. Throughout her tenure on the board, Ms. Puryear has demonstrated unwavering support for the authority's mission of providing decent, safe, affordable housing, as well as related essential services for the citizens of Norfolk. Ms. Puryear has served as a passionate advocate for our residents of the authority's public housing communities and voucher holders, and has been a strong voice for the empowerment and equitable treatment of all residents, regardless of race, age, gender, or economic circumstances. I would echo that by saying almost everybody in this organization and throughout this city. Whereas Ms. Puryear has a steadfast proponent of supportive services and opportunities for low and moderate income residents, including educational programming, workforce development, healthcare, and access to mental health counseling. Whereas Ms. Puryear's career in the field of social services has extensive experience as a community volunteer and a mission-driven leader, and her lifelong work as a team builder provided tremendous insight into the innovative approaches and needed to overcome challenges facing the authority. Ms. Puryear's calm, and that goes without being said, but determined demeanor, which goes without being said. Her respect for all stakeholders, her strategic vision, critical in supporting the agency's improvements in the delivery of essential and impactful services. Ms. Puryear has brought a unique thoughtfulness, empathy, and wisdom to the board, always demonstrating that she genuinely cares about the people and the authority serves, and she was instrumental in assisting the board to recognize the individual's needs of the residents of Norfolk. And whereas Ms. Puryear has consistently carried out her responsibilities as Commissioner and as Vice Chair with integrity, perseverance, and compassion. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, or you, the Commissioners of the Authority, do hereby take the opportunity to express your sincere appreciation of Ms. Puryear's service to the Authority and her many contributions to the board and the residents of Norfolk over the years. Be it further resolved that the Chairman of the Board of Commissioners of the Authority is directed to provide a copy of the resolution to Suzanne Puryear and a copy of said resolution to be placed on record in the office of the Authority, adopted on this day, the 16th of January, 2025. With that, I'll turn.
Just one comment. We do these things, but in your case, you genuinely have made a significant impact to your role on this board and other places in the city, but certainly as we know it. But just give us a comment or so.
Thank you. Yeah, I told Nathan for just a half a second, I thought I was getting called up to deal with the heating issue. Thank you all. We all know that you all know that this has been one of my most humbling and significant experiences in my life, my career. I'm grateful to you all for allowing me to work with everyone, because we know that this is a staff and board, resident, and citywide effort. I'm proud of the work that you have done and will continue to do. I was, as I said, really privileged to be a small part of it. So thank you very much, and I wish you all happy New Year and much success in 2025 and beyond.
We just bring it back. So, do We don't have it in the brain, do we? Not yet.
I like this.
We will.
This is fun.
No.
This is good. Thank you, it's beautiful. It exceeded the 3-minute limit.
Can you, you can get another shot. Come on, Nathan.
Well, we need to take a vote first.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Fine.
Forgive me, please. I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution to Ms. Suzanne Perrier.
Mr. Chairman, I'm honored to put that motion in place.
Thank you, Earl.
Happy to second that motion.
That motion has been properly moved and seconded. Ms. Carnes?
Yes, sir. Mr. Lewis,
Absolutely aye.
Dr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Casagrande,
Aye.
Mr. Fraley,
Aye.
Mr. Conyers, if you can hear us. Ms. Mayo, Ms. Chazinski. Aye. Mr. Albert.
Aye, and congratulations, and thank you for your wonderful years of service. Come on, we'll jam Suzanne in. These two big brothers here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was, worth doing.
So good morning again, and thank you for your time. Again, I mean, we come together for a lot of different things, but a lot of people put time and effort in terms of just the degree of decision making, their dedication, no matter where we are in the spectrum. So part of our collective job, whether you're in the role of being a commissioner, working for the authority, an advocate, a resident of all of those things are important to make sure that, you know, everybody's time is recognized in contribution to fighting a good cause. So thank you, Suzanne, for that. I'll be real quick in terms of my overall remarks. I feel like, you know, we're obviously in the beginning of the new year, so not going to say like a new year, new me, but and we are in between two, you know, you start the beginning of the year, calendar year, but you're always in between two fiscal years. And so I'll be real quick in terms of what we're really focused on as we continue to go forward. One, it is continued communication. And so I started right before the holidays is another series of council briefings. And so we have completed 4 or 5, just thus far. So we're kind of nearing the end of that. A lot of that discussion has been around, obviously, future plans in terms of development, but it really has been about the main pieces that we've talked about, which is engaging our residents in terms of different types of opportunities. I am going to comment at least in terms of the why. And so, obviously, if you're looking for the person who merged client services with, it's me. The reason why I did that is because when you have competing factors within an organization, you are often chasing after similar resources and really don't have a joint strategy of how to address people. And so that is what we've been focused on for the last several months, of how to leverage those things from a client services standpoint, as well as resident services, so that we can just have one set of services. Now, it's not perfect. Like anything else, it has to work. But I can tell you from our vantage point, there was a lot of duplication of effort. There was not a lot of leveraging. And that just became very problematic at the end of the day. There was a lot of duplication of effort. And when you're one organization working with a set population or people or working a strategy, it's best to leverage those things. So we'll continue to work through that and get better at the end of the day and do what we need to do. Lastly, I know we talked about communication, coordination, and accountability. Those things have not changed. I think the one piece that we really have to focus on in addition to those things is consistency, right? And so we have to be consistent in terms of how we engage people. We have to be consistent in terms of the level of response. And we have to be consistent in terms of just how we execute our programs every day. There are real challenges. I'm not going to pretend that there isn't, but I think we stand, I know for a fact that we stand to improve the lives of the people that we serve. I've made it clear to our senior leadership last week when we met in this room that the training wheels are coming off. There's a higher level of expectation of things that need to happen for the authority to really kind of achieve the types of results that people want to see. So that means that we're not above doing continuous improvement. We're certainly not above in terms of listening and hearing different things. And we're not above making the changes that are necessary so we can be good, and that includes personnel. So I think that's a real defining moment because we really have to turn the corner. People want to see things different. We want to see things different. And if we're stuck in a place or we're stuck in a mindset that is ineffective in terms of how we deliver our programs, we need to make some changes. So we're going to continue to do those things. We've made changes over the last year. We will continue to make changes. And so whether it's programmatic changes, policy changes, leveraging different types of relationships, which you'll hear throughout the departmental presentations, we're going to continue to do that. And so we've done personnel changes as well. And so we're not going to stop there. And so there has to be a reasonable expectation that's able to be achieved. We have to work kind of collectively together. As everybody knows, next Monday we have a new administration coming in to federal government. And so that creates challenges, but it creates opportunities. And so we have to look in terms of where the funding goes over these next several years and be prepared. I think we're prepared. We're preparing to adjust where we need to, but it also gives us an opportunity to be prepared to jump for what opportunities may allow us to accelerate our efforts, whether it's to rehab some of our existing communities, which we're doing now in terms of the mid-rises, work towards some of our larger transformation efforts, which you've begun to hear more and more about, or engage in other types of opportunities. And so if you followed the council's working session this past Tuesday, or you get a chance to listen to it, we were not presenting at all, but we were referenced twice in terms of being a partner. One is with the Department of Health and being a partner with them, which is really emerging in stronger partnership every day. And the other one is with the Airport Authority. And why are we dealing with the Airport Authority? The Airport Authority actually has excess property that can be developed into other types of opportunities. And so we had an opportunity to really sit down with their real estate folks just before the holidays. And Corey Hines and our team, I will give him an extreme amount of credit. He took a back of the napkin type of approach to giving a concept. And his back of the napkin, which took him about a week to do, probably in most places would take people 2 months to achieve. So, and they were very much impressed by that. So there's a lot of conversation that will continue to happen in terms of trying to figure out how we can expand housing opportunities. How can we operate a little bit more effective, not only just in the city of Norfolk, but across Hampton Roads, and leveraging all the different resources that we have, whether as the authority itself or any of its affiliates. So I will stop there and take any questions that you may have.
One of the things that I wanted to try to do with the incoming administration, you guys said, is when whoever is going to be the secretary for HUD, it's going to be important, and we know it's going to be somebody who comes in keenly underqualified, or at least, I won't say underqualified, but I would say not ready for what they're going to walk into. I mean, I don't think a lot of people who weigh those things from afar fully appreciate how much detail is in the management of those. But I want to go in there, and they get it, you know, because nobody comes back as a former HUD secretary, right? So everybody has to learn. I want to write and try to get a sit down with the new HUD secretary.
Sure.
To say, I think the stage and state that we're in the country now, a reissuance of some version of empowerment zone initiative would be very, very helpful to cities across the country, not just urban centers, but, a lot of the rural states, that kind of money can help further their goals and objectives in building up their infrastructure and their tax bases and roads in place of a destination. So I think the empowerment zone, I haven't seen the data. I was very involved in working in empowerment zone from this end. For HUD, I used to kind of travel around the country and talk about, or at least gather information on successful empowerment zones. Went to Cleveland and Cincinnati and some other. So I think it's time. I think empowerment zones, for those that are not aware of why I feel this way, I know we don't want another meeting to discuss it, but if you call me, I can give you some background on why I think empowerment zones are very effective. Or you can look up empowerment zones initiatives under President Bill Clinton, and I think what's the guy's name from Texas, from man, he was from
The guy who's gonna be secretary?
Yeah, Secretary
Scott Turner?
No, it was
Alfonso Jackson.
Huh?
Alfonso Jackson.
No, it was before that, those two guys. It was San Antonio Mayor. San Antonio Mayor.
Henry Cisneros.
Henry Cisneros. And I went up there once. I didn't meet with him, but I met with Roy Priest.
Yeah.
And he was one of the undersecretaries at some point, I think.
He was.
Division head or whatever. So had a good meeting with him. So anyway, I'm saying that to say, I'm trying to work to get some more dollars infused into our region, you know, and more money to work with. Because right now we're doing a monster job with mashed potato kind of money, you know.
So I can speak real quickly about that. So not necessarily an empowerment zone, but there have been a lot of conversations around opportunity zones that have come up over the last several weeks. We've been talking to some of our counterparts, or starting to talk to some of our counterparts, because they are working to revive it very heavy. And actually, Scott Turner, who is the nominee for the secretary, was active in that in the prior Trump administration. And so,
what's his name?
Scott Turner. And so we are working through seeing where we can do. It aligns in terms of closely because they do want to focus on areas that have a huge investment from the Department of Defense. And so, you know, obviously, Norfolk fits that bill in terms of the naval station. And we have a lot of eligible census tracts. And there's a lot of pent-up dollars in terms of capital gains, and there's a lot of obviously tax reform is another piece of that as well that'll be coming up later this year. So there's a lot of opportunity to have those conversations, I think, early and figure out part of the discussion right now is how we can pilot with some of our counterparts to form something that's a little bit more catalytic. Just real quick in terms of I was an intern at HUD for folks who don't know. And actually, during that period of time, when I was an intern here, Henry Cisneros was the secretary. Andrew Cuomo was the the assistant secretary for community planning and development, and Sean Donovan was the FHA commissioner at the time. So all three of those individuals moved to below them, moved to a secretary of position. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
We can talk about it offline. I want to throw it out here just so you can move on. If I'm assuming Turner gets confirmed, my other life, I go up to the Hill quite often, and I haven't met with him personally yet. But when he was drafted by the Redskins, I did get to meet him personally. I know some members of the staff. I'd be happy to go with the facilitator, go with some meetings up there. So just talk about it, but happy.
Yeah, we're going to be spending quite a bit of time in Washington. We've kind of done that a little bit last year. So been talking heavily, actually, right over the holidays, I had a meeting with Senator Kane's staff. And so we're going to continuously be there because this is the time to advocate. Funding, this is, so seriously for everybody that's in the room, no matter what you feel about whatever issue, if this is the time to really talk about, okay, what's really at stake. And so in terms of dollars, whether it's for the voucher program, whether it's for public housing, even our choice neighborhood initiatives, those things are all something that are subject to not our current, but if anything in the future, those things have been subject to a lot of budget cuts. So I've been looking closely over the last few continuing resolutions around that. And so at one point, the House had zeroed out the choice neighborhood program. The Senate had kept it at about $100 million. And so if you think about it, in terms of where it had gone, the awards went up to $50 million. So that means that there would only be two, and it might be even less because a lot of those dollars have, some of those dollars goes towards supplemental, like the 2.5 that we received. So those things matter at the end of the day. And so this pool that has so much money in it, just this last cycle is now spoken for. Now it may be a lot smaller at the end of the day. So we have to really start embracing or looking into other types of opportunities that will bring investment into the city of Norfolk and really in our portfolio.
I don't want to beat this dead horse, but that's what made the apartment zone attractive.
Yes.
You got $100 million over a 10-year period, and the stronger your cross-section of the community or your application was, the stronger your chances of receiving a grant. And if you guys would look around this room and look at our team, right, diverse in culture, color, economics, occupation, it runs the full gamut. And I would suggest we're very effective in what we're doing for the authority. And so building an empowerment zone application, if the new sector of HUD come in, would be receptive to a project, it's got to be authorized by Congress when they spend money like that. But the one thing we all know about politics is a new administration needs a win right away. And so I think we can give them one. So thank you, Nate.
Thank you. Sorry,
Just before, Evie, I'd like to commend you, thank you, Chairman, but commend you for looking clear-eyed at the possibilities of the challenges that could possibly face our communities, and to work on every level of collaboration to address those issues so that our communities can continue to be served and given every possibility to win. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Appreciate it. Like I said, some of it is tough conversation. I think people understand, like, we take things very much seriously. The system wasn't broken overnight. It will take some time to fix. Doesn't mean that we need to move like molasses to do it. We don't have to move with so much haste that we forget the things that matter. So we're going to try to continue to get it right. We have to continue to work with folks who agree with us, who don't agree with us, and figure out, because at the end of the day, if we're fighting and we're all trying to fight for what we believe is right, there's somebody on the sideline who doesn't care either way what we do. And so, and that doesn't help anybody. So these are the times to really kind of sit down and figure out, have the tough conversations to figure out how we move things forward.
Hey, so before you leave, this is off the beach path, the airport authority.
Yes.
They have developed both sites.
They do.
In and around the airport.
They do. They've decommissioned some things, some parcels of land. They're in the process of decommissioning a runway. They have a number of different parcels. I'll send you the link to it. It was actually really good in terms of the discussion. Even our discussion that we had with them it started small, and they were like, well, what about these other parcels? And we're like, what other parcels? And so we're starting to look at that. But yeah, they want to really have more placemaking at the airport and its transformation, and certainly in terms of at Robin Hood and as well as off Military Highway as well. So there's a lot of different opportunities. We have to look at things differently, and they want to do their fair share. And so it's very interesting. Never in my career, I've talked to a lot of different folks. I've never had conversations with the airport authority, but again, that goes back to, you know, a lot of things are possible at the end of the day, and we're going to explore every opportunity to expand housing opportunities in the city of Norfolk.
Wayne, thank you all on that demonstration.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
and staff. I want to give a quick update on the finance update. We're still working toward our 2024 audit and having that complete and submitted to HUD by March 31st. We're also working on our prepping for our 2026 budget. That's underway. Departments are working on those and submitting those this week as we speak. And last meeting, I talked about the training of the finance staff. We have gotten with a firm and scheduled training, and that firm is coming in February to, since the finance staff is mostly new, we brought in someone that would train the staff on the various financial aspects of government accounting, as well as we've invited Chesapeake, Norfolk, Newport News, I think I'm missing one. Portsmouth, for their financial staff to also join us in those trainings. From a human resources standpoint, we're still working on completing the second version of the ADP implementation. From administrative services, we're still working on that cashless kiosk machine for the parking deck to eliminate collecting cash. Is underway. And from an IT perspective, we're still on track to go live with Yardi on July the 1st. Zendesk went live January 6th as planned. The help desk are receiving tickets now from staff for any issues that they may have. Checked this morning, there was 116 tickets. Yes, thank you, Roger. There was 116 tickets submitted, but some of those are test tickets. So people are starting to use the system. And then we're also prepping for our first move to the cloud with the phone system. That's underway. Any questions?
Can you just summarize to me, Ms. Johnson, the role of Yardi?
The role of Yardi is an IERP system that it streamlines, to me, it's my own personal opinion, financials more simpler than what I've seen in the past. You can get reporting straight out the box instead of having to go out in Excel and create them. Everything that's inside of Yardi is exportable. You can export everything out into Excel, wherein also you can import data in as well. And also it gives you the opportunity to go paperless. Everything flows through. You can attach your documents inside of Yardi, and then it gives you the opportunity to streamline your processes where they have workflows, where individuals can go in and do approvals instead of having to wait on email. Yeah.
All right.
Any more questions?
Now, for me, I do have a comment. At some point, we'll talk about it later. I don't want to open it up right now.
Okay.
It's just an idea I have for it. We better serve the commissioners, but I'll tell you about it.
Okay. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Brenda, Public Housing.
Public Housing. Good morning, brother.
Good morning, commissioners and everyone.
Good morning.
And Happy New Year to everyone that I have not said Happy New Year's to. And speaking about Happy New Year's, one of the things that I like to do is when a new year come in, I try to figure out what does this represent as a whole, right? And so some of the information that I found is that for 2025, it represents introspection, closure, and growth. So in all, what it means is just a powerful transformation, which is what we are a part of, which is what we are about as an agency. It's transformation for our residents. It's transformation for this agency to provide the necessary means, to provide the necessary housing for our residents. So with that in mind, property management team focus for 2025 is to work from a perspective of building trust with our residents as we transform their lives one home at a time. So in our 2025 approach, this is what we're looking to do in this transformation. We're going to provide additional training to our staff because training is important. We're going to provide the training to improve our customer service, to improve their technical skills, to do their jobs more effectively. We're going to provide training so that our timely response to our residents is at their best. And also, we're going to refresh residents' units because it's important to have units home refreshed to give them that comfort that they seek, that feel of what home is about, right? So we're going to do that. We have contracted with several unit turn contractors to help us with this process. Some of our units may not look like white walls anymore, but they're going to look like a home for the residents when they move into them. We will continue to work closely with client services. As we work closely with client services, we're going to identify the ongoing or new concerns that they may have, anything that may hinder them from moving forward in their future. We're going to address concerns like rent, housekeeping, mental health, workforce. All of that is in partnership with client services. And you hear more of that from Joyce when he comes. We will continue to work with our design team, our design and construction team, and the upgrades of Sykes and Partrail and the other transformation projects that may be uprising. So we're going to work very closely with them. In your packets, you have information as to what we've done as of December. So 91% of our public housing community is what was occupied as of December. So we will continue to occupy our units. We will continue to push to work with occupancy to get those units help. Also, our call center ratio was at 65%. So, yes, we did add a new community to that as of December 1st, and that was Young Terrace. And so we are now still working out those kinks to improve those numbers. However, it is definitely working for us because the residents are using it. They are calling in those concerns so that we can quickly approach them. And also the emergency work order, we're at 95%. I think that's great. That's a great closing ratio for us because it says that we are addressing the majority of all of the emergency work orders that are coming in. So we are there. But our goal is to continue to push through those plans, to work in line with the mission and the vision of this organization to improve the lives of our residents, one home at a time, to give them that space that they can feel comfortable with, in spite of what the outside or external environment looks like to them. But that is our goal in this department. Are there any questions for me?
Ms. Brenda, you mentioned that was 55%, you said, for your call centers coming in, or
65% of closing ratio.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 90.
And the call. You made reference to the call centers?
Yes, sir, I did.
What was that reference? Maybe I misunderstood.
That our closing ratio was 65%, and we just added Young Terrace to it as of December the 1st.
So it's Young Terrace, and you had a couple, which was the two others?
Oakley Forest and Calvert Square.
And the calls that are coming in, they're consisted of what?
A number of things: plumbing, heating, mostly plumbing. I can tell you that. Mostly plumbing. As a matter of fact, the percentage of those calls that are coming in for plumbing is at, I can tell you, 56% of our calls have to do with plumbing. So that has to do with leaks, right? That has to do with maybe the hot water tanks not working. That falls in line with our plumbing department.
Some of what we heard earlier.
Yes.
Okay. information like maybe what was happening at Franklin Arms, would that have come through a call center or anything?
That would not have come through the call center because Franklin Arms is not a part of the call center just yet.
So how would those residents make reference for what they're dealing with? I mean, because it comes to someone. Does it come to you?
No, sir.
Oh.
When there's a work order that
Well, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Work orders are work orders.
Yes.
And they come to someone.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that process is when there's a work order that the residents have, they are to call the office to notify the office of their concern. From that point, the manager or admin or whoever receives the work order enters the work order into our system. Once the work order is entered in, then there is a work order report that is printed and given to maintenance. Staff follows up on that work order to make sure that it's closed. Now, I have to be honest and, with you all. Not all residents call in their work order. And so when they don't call into work orders, that makes us unaware of what their concerns are. However, if they are providing us with the work order, particularly any emergency work order, we get on those as soon as possible because those are 24-hour turnaround. Some work orders may require us to reach out to a contractor, but our job is to inform that resident of those next steps.
But you oversee all of that. Are you?
Yes, sir. I do get to see the work order report.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
You done, Albert?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I have, one, small follow-up question, but managing a property like, Franklin Arms can be a monster to a site manager, given, both the scope of the, occupancy and the size of the building. And you have to rely, I would imagine, on so much, information from other sources. And what I'm getting at is, when there are conditions that are deteriorating or defective or not working or working against the desires and goodwill of the residents, people in the building, if it doesn't rise to the level of somebody sending a work order in, the only way you know that is if somebody reports it, like what we heard this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I guess if Franklin Arms was a conventional property, like, say, Pinewood Gardens, it's much easier to walk the property, and I don't mean physically walk, but, you can get a golf cart and ride around Franklin. And some stuff that jumps out at you, you can make note of yourself. You can check on buildings, you can hop out, open the hall door, and just kind of look at it. So that's not it's not something that's easily done in a building like Franklin. That's a big building. But is there a process that would give a manager that information that we heard this morning? And that's where Albert was going. I don't know, but is there a process that would give a site manager that information? And once that site manager gathers that, do you see it? Now, it's a two-part question. If there's no process, then that's you to see. Right? So if you're wholly waiting, or depending on a resident calling or sending a request, a maintenance request or something, you mentioned it earlier. If there's call for that, then I know how you get it. But is there any other way to gather that information? If there's something effective in the building, far removed from the site manager, the maintenance man doesn't have to go down for any particular thing on that floor in that area. Is there any?
So a couple of things.
Okay.
And thank you for asking that question. A couple of things.
That was a long, crazy question.
Well, that's okay, but I understood where you're going. So the first thing is that in our mid-rises, our property managers are required to walk the building.
Bingo.
Okay, that's That's the first part. They are required to walk the building. Yes, it's a lot of building for them to walk. In our offices, we also have a work order box when the manager's out of the office. In our mid-rises, we also have an additional person there, so that way there is some continued conversations going on when the manager is out. Again, I will say that most times we are not aware of situations of residents' concern if they don't bring it to our forefront at that time.
You gave me what I needed, though.
I gave you what you needed.
Yeah, the manager required to walk the building.
They're required to walk the building.
Thank you. That's all I need.
Okay.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Any other questions?
Anybody else? All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Is Ms. Watson here? Yep. There she is. Good morning, family.
Good morning.
Good morning. The AKAs and the Deltas celebrating like crazy.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
I really came up here in 1920.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, thank you. I'm excited to report that within the tenant rental assistance programs, we have been responding and answering the clarion call for our participants, our landlords, and also others that need us. Also happy to report that the Aspire Apartments, which we can actually see out of this window, open house was held on December the 17th. NRHA was well represented. Our executive director, Mr. Nathan Sims, was one of the speakers. And also, as of December 31st, we're thankful to say that all 27 PBV units were leased. And also, we have an additional 6 units that are leased by our tenant-based voucher program participants. And this was something, it was a collaborative effort. It wasn't an easy one, because with the project-based voucher program, you can't start moving people in until every single unit passes inspection, which is different from the tenant-based voucher program. You can start once one specific unit passes. And it was basically, as I stated, it wasn't an easy effort, but we did it. We did it, and we work together much better when we do it together. Our occupancy department took the lead with the assistance of our interim special projects, PBV interim director. Our inspections department actually had to go out to the unit 3 times to do the inspections, not because the units weren't ready, but there were issues with the elevator certificate, so our inspectors had to go several times. Our compliance department audited every file to ensure that the files were completed properly, and also our tech corporate, we had to call him in to even assist with pulling and drawing people from the wait list. So it was basically a group effort with several individuals within the authority. Steve also worked with us, so we were really proud that we were able to do that, and we will continue to work with various developers. We have other developments that are coming up now, and we recently executed the AHAP agreement for another project in our Tidewater Garden site, wherein we will have several of our Tidewater Garden residents to be able to move into it. And I just even want to say that out of the 21 units, 14 former Tidewater Garden residents were able to move into those PBV unit properties. So we are assisting them in getting brand new, beautiful properties. We also want to just let you know that we've completed several projects. We are in the training process of Yardi, and also effective July 1st, 2025, we will take the lead and start HOTMA. HOTMA is a new HUD guidelines for the actual program. We'll be training on the program to be able to be ready once July 1st comes. We did start with the actual new smoke alarm requirements. So our inspectors are inspecting units to ensure that they now have hardwire smoke alarms. This is a new HUD requirement that took place in December. I've provided various information in my report that I hope has been helpful and useful for informational purposes for you. Any questions?
Ms. Pam, I want to commend you for all the great work that you do. Of course, I've had the opportunity to work with you for many, many years, and your excellence has continued to pace itself. I want to thank you for adding the zero income.
Yes.
I saw that in your report.
Yes.
And thank you for adding that as you promised that you would.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Kudos.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Any other questions for, Ms. Watson? Thanks, Pam.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pam.
Good morning again. Again, I also want to really give kudos to Pam and occupancy in the group. Which she also didn't underscore there is the lease up for Aspire. They were on some strict deadlines to get done by the end of the year, and Pam's group was able to make sure that got done. So big kudos to them and all the work that they've done. I'm just going to go over and highlight a few things. My head always spins when I come up here because of all the things that we have. I could be up here for a long time and talk, but we don't want to do that. So first and foremost, on the CNI project, we just closed the phase 3 project back at the mid-December. They are in the process of mobilizing, and we will be looking to have a groundbreaking for phase 3, which is another 191 units to be constructed out there. That groundbreaking should take place in February. We're all coordinating on that one right now. Again, the first phase was the Origin and Reunion. The second phase is Unity, which you can see under construction right out of our window. In total, when we look at the CNI project to date, there have been there are two projects, or one project completed on-site, 2 projects completed off-site. And at this point in time, we have 356 units that have been completed as part of the project. 356 affordable units that have been completed as part of the project. Important to note. And across the entire CNI project, we've had 69 former Tidewater families return in those properties. We had the bond discussion earlier for Sykes. I also want to note that we have an RFP, a request for proposal, out right now for the general contractors. We had a general contractor information meeting this past Monday. It was very well attended. We are looking to get that contract, or I should say that award done in February. And again, that's part of the ongoing process to get to the Sykes renovation. So we'll get our financing lined up, getting our general contractors lined up. The next big item on that is getting to Virginia Housing and getting the tax credits in place. The biggest thing really to talk about is we are now ready to embark on the master planning for Young and Calvert. We are putting that schedule together. We will begin meeting with residents and the TMC in February. We'll be laying out a public process for charrettes, for interviews, and for working with residents through that master planning process. So we are bringing on the appropriate folks that know how to get this done, and we'll be coordinating with the city on moving the project forward. So this is part of, as we talk across all that we're doing here at the authority, for Brenda to talk about transformation and the work that they do. You've heard Pam talk about the work that they're doing with HCD and the Section 8 program. But all of this is for development standpoint, we characterize things in 3 ways. We look at things in transformation, big projects like we're doing with the St. Paul's project, what we'll be doing with the Young and Calvert, and then as we look at our other communities, how to transform the communities to better perform. That could mean demolition, that can mean complete transformation from their subsidy situation from public housing to project-based vouchers. Preservation, as we say, is there are buildings like, again, Sykes, Partrea, Bobbitt, and Hunter Square, and even Franklin Arms, where we'll look to do renovations on those buildings. And then the last component that we look at is home ownership. As we look across our portfolio and the work that we need to do, is NRHA has a history of providing home ownership in the city. In the past, whether it's been large-scale transformation projects like at East Beach or are really in downtown, and you look at Freemason. We also have done lots of work in individual communities, whether it be Ocean View, Ballantyne, Central Bramilton, Park Place, Huntersville, where we've done housing across the city. And so we're going to be continuing that work with lot programs. A big focus right now that we'll bring back to the board fairly soon is the Moton Circle project, where we are moving quite rapidly to get a master plan in place. We have a warehouse out there that needs to be demolished, so we'll be getting the site plan review to get our demolition docs on the warehouse, as well as get the site plan review for the Moton Circle development plan.
Now, we singularly, solely, planning and developing that, is that just us?
That is us. We have some city funding for the infrastructure. We will be going through the HUD process, and you'll see me back here again in the coming months to talk about Section 18 disposition needs, and that will be for Moton Circle, for Broad Creek again, as we work through the issues there, as well as for Sykes. So
I guess the question I was getting at is, does the city have any involvement over there?
Absolutely. I mean, we continue, we'll have coordination. We go through the site plan process. We working with their teams on design. There's a lot of stormwater issues. There's a lot of road issues. And so, yeah, we work together on all of our projects.
Yeah, I knew that, but anyway, never mind. Thank you, Steve. Any questions for Steve?
Very quick question that I will apologize for the unanswerable question that no one likes to get. So not holding you to it, but just to take a stab at it, you had mentioned the scheduling on Youngs and Calvert. Do you have, just again, not holding you to anything, a schedule on the scheduling of Youngs and Calvert?
Certainly, we are in the process, so we will be wrapping up the scheduling this month so that we can get things underway. So there's a core item that the authority's been working with in overall is looking at with community engagement in regular monthly meetings with the TMCs and with the residents just in general. And so we will be piggybacking on all of those meetings for basic information, and then along with their scheduling more in-depth meetings and charrettes or pre-charrettes. The master planning process is quite in-depth. There's a part of it is a lot of upfront, collecting of the information, doing surveys of the residents, interviews with residents, stakeholders, et cetera, and then getting everybody into the room, and that's when you do your dreaming. That's when
right. And I'm at risk of interrupting you just so I don't pull up everybody else. Where I was getting at is, are we going to have an understanding that as steps get taken, schedules are always moving? That's fully understood. I was just curious when we are going to have like a skeleton idea of that schedule. If at end of month, beginning of next month, at least a skeleton of the starting with the process, what's going to be next.
End of month.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Fine services, Dr. Norman, where you at?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I am presenting today, she's on, with Ms. Sarah Hilton with Age and Village. She's a consultant that has helped us out tremendously. And I advise you guys, don't get to know her because you're going to like her. So good morning, once again, and Happy New Year. One of the things we want to present today, and with the help of Ms. Sarah Hilton, who will be presenting as well at the same time. You can put us on a time where we'll be less than 5 minutes. We're going to present, and we're looking at the Client Service Department vision and strategy. And we want to stay committed to what has been given to us in terms of a charge of communication, coordination, and accountability. So we're coming with a Client Services Departmental strategy. And with that overview of the Client Service Departmental strategy, basically it's looking at client services and highlighting the importance of a holistic approach. And with Ms. Sarah Hilton, we've been able to look at and create what we think is a holistic approach. And as we're doing this creation, understand there's always room and there will always be opportunities where we will be making changes and modifications as we go to make sure that this works. The vision is actually to create this comprehensive continuum to support the needs of our residents from infants to seniors, and also to put in the forefront the opportunity to make sure that we're partnering and making sure we have those resources in place. And I want to begin by looking at our key service areas. With our key service areas, we have youth services, and basically with youth services, we're ensuring the opportunity that we have the support necessary for our young people to move from infancy to opportunities, even from college to opportunities that they will have available to them for career opportunities. Family self-sufficiency. Before I give you a brief description of family FSS, family self-sufficiency, I have to say this. We were just awarded $618,000 a grant award. So we are happy for that because this would assist individuals in making the transition from public assistance to independence. And it also promotes an opportunity where we can continue our skill building, our training, educational supports, and workforce. Another place is where I know for sure that we need to actually do more is with our aging population. And with our aging population, we're looking at making sure that our seniors are not going through any form of isolation. And also looking at how we can make sure they can age at home, looking at making sure we help them keep their dignity as they go through different challenges, and to increase, more importantly, our opportunities for them to do more engagements outside. One of the things that we've done with that, when I talk about partnership, is how we increase our ability to make sure they have transportation, that they can move from site to site. Our partnerships, I can't say enough about partnerships. On Friday, we just recently had a partnership meeting where we asked our different partners to come out. So whenever you think about us in the client service department, we have so many different requests. We're averaging from the time that we merged from resident services to with client services, in that 6-month period of time, we've had over 104 different referrals. And those referrals come from employment opportunities, training opportunities, education, mental health. I can say now that we're in a greater spot than we've ever been before in terms of mental health. In all of our communities, we have a mental health professional that's assigned to that particular community. So in critical incidents or trauma incidents, we're able to deploy a mental health professional within an hour and a half. In addition to that, it could be quicker, but normally we wait for the okay to make sure that we can, if it's some critical instance, that we will have to wait till it's okay for us to go into those sites ourselves. In addition to that, each one of our communities have working with property management, they can make referrals to resident services about anything that they need, client services about anything. The reason that's so effective now is that with our resident services, they're actually assigned to all of our communities, and they're more effective in how they can do their particular work. So those referrals actually come from property management that gives those referrals, and we're very good on follow-up with that. The different partners that we have, Hampton Roads Workforce Council, EVMS, who's now partnership with Old Dominion University, Norfolk Public Schools. We have a variety of different partners that are assisting us in the services that's needed to address the needs and the wants of our residents to help them with their mobility. So I can't say enough about the partnerships. That has increased our ability to make sure that we're responsive and that we can actually serve them in the manner in which they need to be served. In addition to that, some other partners that I didn't list, it's important that I mention our relationship with Boys and Girls Club. Our relationship with United Way with Boys and Girls Club has been tremendous for us in terms of making sure that we are not only providing services to our youth from education and recreation, but it also assists us in the idea of creating healthier communities. So some people will ask you, how do you create safer communities? But that piece with the health is critical in creating safer communities. because as we're helping folks with their mental health, as we're helping folks engage in activities, community actually gets healthy. And when a community is healthy, it naturally becomes to be a safer community. When a community is working, it becomes a safer community. So I can't talk enough about that. Our partnerships with Old Dominion University, who's providing additional training opportunities for us. Norfolk State University, where we have interns who are working and providing services regularly. Food banks, who are helping us resolve issues that's dealing specifically with those concerning food insecurities and food deserts. In addition to that, we have Tidewater Community College, Dollar Bank, who's actually working with us with financial literacy and other things. Hampton Roads Transit, it's interesting when we say Hampton Roads Transit, we're working with us working, and we worked with them prior to and did surveys to look at how we can better serve our residents to provide transportation for different destinations that they may need. In addition to that, we came up with a stopgap piece, but we continue to work with that to make sure that we have opportunities where our residents can get around and within the city. Anthem Healthcare, Centera, the health department of the city of Norfolk's health department, we deploy street teams. In our community, we have different street teams that are actually able to come into those different communities and make sure they're providing services for those who may not be able to get out. And addition to that, like I said, we have a lot of different services that we actually use. And they are actually providing services for us in a array of ways. What I want to do now is I want to bring Sarah Hilton up, and she's going to talk about funding opportunities.
Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning. Thank you, Julius. Good morning, Nathan. Good morning, board. Thank you for the opportunity just to share a little bit more about the client services vision and overall strategy. It's been great working with the team so far, and we look forward to a great future for the residents and what we are thinking about doing this upcoming year. And so, as Julius had laid out the service continuum, we are really looking at making sure that we have a comprehensive service delivery model focused on everyone from our infants to our youth to our working age adults and also our seniors, and really providing the programs and services that will support economic mobility, family self-sufficiency, economic independence, and aging at home for our senior residents. And so, as Julius mentioned about the various partnerships that the agency has engaged, we will continue to look at partnerships to do the work that is ahead of us, leveraging resources and funding and expertise to advance our efforts as an authority. And in addition to partnerships and collaboration, we will also be looking at funding. Julius mentioned, at the top of the year, the agency has received over $600,000 for family self-sufficiency programs, and we will continue to build on our grants and looking at not just funds from HUD, but also funds from other federal entities, including the Administration on Community Living, which supports seniors and individuals with disabilities, as well as different youth initiatives at the federal level, and really looking at how we diversify our funding for our programs and services, training, and overall resident support. Also, in terms of funding, we will be looking at corporate social impact initiatives. There's many corporations in Virginia and around the country that focus on helping to build better communities, more responsive communities, and advance initiatives around workforce development, aging, and youth services. And so what that really looks like is applying for grants, also entering into different agreements with agencies to help support our programs. And even at the local level, when we think about, our local coffee shops, I won't name who, but they do have community impact dollars to help support, just breakfast, coffee, conversation, strategic planning efforts, things of that nature. And then finally, in terms of funding, really looking at our in-kind support from different agencies there's a number of agencies that tap into different federal and community-based funding, and we will be working with those agencies as a partner, because as an agency, we bring residents that they need to serve with that funding. We bring expertise in affordable housing and case management and a number of other strategies that we can show up as a partner to help leverage not only the funding, but the resources to help support residents. And so when we think about the vision and strategy, the partnerships and the funding, I know as the board, you want to think about impact and how all of these resources are coming together to impact our community. And that is really a big focus for us this year, to really look at the impact of our services. And so we will be looking at the overall service impact. So reviewing things like service utilization, service levels, participation rates in programs and services, in home ownership opportunities, as well as our youth programs and intergenerational programs. But we will also be drilling down a little bit further this year and looking at, as a result of the resources invested in the client services department, what has been the impact? Have individuals graduated from the program? Have we helped our seniors age in place with the resources that they need, not accessing higher level, higher cost services like the hospital unnecessarily, and how we've impacted their overall quality of life. So evaluation is really key. Look forward to coming back to the board to talk about our evaluation efforts that will highlight our impact. Excuse me. And then finally, just a couple of comments on reporting. As we move forward this year, we will be reporting out on not only our partnerships and the impact on our service impact, but then also what the residents are saying as it relates to their experience from a satisfaction standpoint, from a support standpoint, and really increasing our efforts to increase data visualization across the agency, as well as impact across the agency internally and externally with our partners. The authority is doing a number of great things, and we want to make sure that we are streamlining our reporting efforts to showcase our impact with our residents and the larger community. And speaking of reporting, I am now going to pass it back to Julius to talk about the monthly report. This is just one of the ways that we will be increasing our reporting efforts, making sure that the information is condensed and it is highlighting our service efforts. So Julius, I will pass it back to you.
All right, one of the things, thank you, Sarah. So one of the things that Sarah talked about, so inside your package, you'll notice that we're doing a different way of how we're reporting. So that reporting that's been submitted to you inside your packet actually talks about the impact, and it gives you the time in which we did it. So it's more condensed. However, we have the documents to show how we're doing our work. So the documented information is what we're putting in the work. And I'm great to say now that we've been doing the work. We just haven't had that medium in terms of how we've been reporting the work. So now what you see in your packet is the impact data that specifically shows what was the turnaround of it, how we came about with our information. So inside your packet, you see client service department impact report, and it gives an executive summary as well as the different highlights of what's been achieved for that particular month. And one other thing I want to say is with FSS, I'm excited that we received the funding, but one of the things that's even more excited about in our FSS portfolio, we have 170 residents. 170 residents is making over $55,000 a year. So that's very important as we move forward, and we're talking about affordability in terms of housing, opportunities for them to be in a position where they can attain housing is great. So all of them are actually referred to our partnership where they're actually going through financial literacy, our financial program, and also working very closely with our home ownership program. And that is it for me, except for one other thing at the end. You will also see on your report that talks about operations. In addition to receiving that award, we also are currently awaiting a decision from a Ross grant, which we applied for, and also a Green and Healthy Homes Initiative submission grant that was at $250,000. So that's the report from Client Services.
Any questions for Mr. Norman?
I just want to make a statement. Mr. Norman, thank you, and Ms. Hilton. Reporting is critical, I think, and I like what I see here. Look forward to seeing more of this type of reporting, maybe across the board from, other departments as well. Because I think that helps us envision what impact we are having on our residents, because that's the important thing. How are we impacting from a comprehensive standpoint and actually seeing our residents move from just to thriving, from just existing to thriving. And that's what I want to see in 2025. So thank you for this report. And I'd like to see this kind of reporting, again, across departments.
Yes, sir, Commissioner. And like I said, I just want to end by saying we will and we continue to improve, and we know that we'll get there with communication, coordination, and we tell you, hold us accountable. And if we're not doing it, we need to make sure that we are. So thanks a lot.
Thank you,
All right, thank you.
Any board committee updates? Albert, can
Yes.
you give a brief summary of,
Yes.
economic inclusion?
January the 7th, public housing, we met. I'm very excited about meeting with the subcommittees. They are coming in and reporting strong. I think 2025 is going to be a banner year for us. So on January the 7th, I met with public housing, and on January the 14th, met with economic inclusion, which included the chair, the ED, Mr. Norman, myself, and then there were 3 who met by Zoom, Ms. Kyra Brown, Mr. Brian White, and Mr. Edward Davis. I think in the coming weeks, well, maybe in the next month or so, we'll be ready to roll out with economic inclusion, some information that I think will be very transformative for what we're looking to do with our communities in 2025. I want to appreciate Ms. Karen for inviting me to Calvert Square Envision Center, and where they unveiled or talked about the street change. And that was a great deal of information. And when I'm invited, I'm going to try to get out. And it was a very nice meeting. I was able to meet the Tenant Management Corporation who were there. The Bagnall, is it? Bagnall has now become a one-way street. And the community was well engaged, involved. And I was happy to be there, and I think they launched the one-way on was it past Wednesday? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been a long week.
So I'm happy to be engaged and with with all the subcommittees, and I think we're doing great work. I mentioned Steve Morales, I think I did. We were all together in those meetings. We're doing great, looking good. Thank you.
Thank you, Albert.
Thank you for the space.
Any other committees?
Yeah, we had an opportunity to have our inaugural meeting of the Finance Committee earlier this week. In preparation for this meeting, Ms. Morales gave us an update on the details of the bond issue that we just voted on, and hence the rationale for the committee being able to advocate for that. And then we had a more lengthy discussion on matters that are going to be related to closed session for sure. So we're starting off the new year with fulfilling our responsibilities and work in partnership with the executive director, his staff, including Chuck Cash, Johnson, Sean Easter, are now charged with kind of moving things forward.
Awesome. Anyone else? All right. With that, I don't have any other commissioners' comments before we go into our closed session. Having received none, we're about to go into our closed session. Ms. Fong, would you read the,
Yes, sir.
all right.
And contrary to what's shown on the packet, it looks like we're not having personnel matters or real estate matters, so it'll just be the third bullet point, if I'm.
So if we're not having personnel or real estate matters, do we have anything?
We have litigation update. So
What was that?
the update on legal matters.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The third
All
bullet
right.
point, so
All
I'll
right.
read the resolution. Resolution convening a closed meeting on January 16th, 2025. Be it resolved that the authority will convene in a closed meeting pursuant to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as amended to discuss the following matters which are specifically exempted from public disclosure by the code section referred to below. Consultation with the authority's legal counsel regarding actual or probable litigation and legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by counsel as authorized by section 2.2-3711A7 of the Act. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Thank you.
Probably moved in second. Ms. Carter,
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
Dr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Casagrande?
Aye.
Mr. Fraley?
Aye.
Mr. Conyers, if you're able to vote.
Is he still on the line? Okay.
Ms. Mayo? Ms. Chudzinski? Mr. Albert?
Aye. All right,
Small break.
we want to take,
Take five.
yeah.
just a second. Yeah, turn them on.
Right there is green.
Great. Resolution certifying a closed meeting on January 16, 2025. Whereas the authority has convened the closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712D of the 1950 Code of Virginia, as amended, requires a certification by this authority that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, upon motion duly made and seconded, be it resolved that the authority hereby certifies that to the best of each commissioner's knowledge, number one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting. And number two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the authority. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Thank
So
you.
moved. Second.
We had Mr. Lewis for the
Okay.
second. Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
Dr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Casagrande?
Aye.
Mr. Fraley?
Aye.
Mr. Contier, not here. Ms. Mayo? Ms. Chudzinski? Mr. Albert?
Aye, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, sir. I just want to say